For section 1.5, we are going to look at using formulas in geometry. And basically this section is a review of some formulas that you've already learned and worked with. So the first thing we're going to talk about is perimeter. Perimeter is the sum of the side lengths of a figure, and sum is the addition or the answer to an addition problem. So basically you're going to add up all of the sides. So for a rectangle, you would take 2 of the lengths plus 2 of the widths and add those together. You could expand that formula a little bit and do L plus L plus W plus W. That's just the shortened version, make it a little bit quicker, but that's all you need to do. For a square has all 4 sides are the same, so you just take 4 times the length of one of the sides. And a triangle, you add up the 3 sides, and the 3 sides are A, B, and C in a triangle. So just add them everything together. Area is the number of non-overlapping square units of a given size that exactly cover the figure. So if you want to think about area, you want to think about putting carpet down on the floor or how much paint you would need to cover a wall and those types of things. So for a rectangle, you would simply take the length times the width. For a square, you would do side times side, which is side squared. And then for a triangle, you would do 1/2 times the base times the height. So showing a few different types of triangles here, figuring out what's the base and what the height is. So the base can be any side of the triangle. It's what it's sitting on. And then the height is a segment from the vertex that forms a right angle with a line containing the base. So the height has to come off of the base at a 90-degree angle. So I drew 3 different pictures here of different types of triangles of where you would exactly find the heights for those triangles. So for example 1, it says find the perimeter and area of each figure. And the first one is a rectangle in which the length is 17 centimeters and the width is 5 centimeters. So for the perimeter, the formula is 2 times the length plus 2 times the W. So the perimeter here would be 2 times 17 plus 2 times 5. 2 17s would be 34 and 2 5s would be 10. So the perimeter here would be 44 centimeters. So around the edge of that rectangle would be 44 centimeters. For the area, we are going to do length times width. So that means we have to do 17 times 5. And 17 times 5 is 85. And we are talking about centimeters, and area is 2-dimensional, so it gets squared. Next, we have a triangle in which the sides A, B, and C are given. So A is 8, B is x plus 1, and C is 4x, and then the height is 6. So for perimeter, we just have to add the 3 sides together. We don't have to do anything with the height. So perimeter of a triangle, the formula was A plus B plus C. So that means 8 plus x plus 1, and C was 4x. So now those parentheses really don't mean anything. It just means that that's one side. It's keeping those 2 numbers together. So we just have to go through and combine like terms. So 8 and 1 would go together to make 9. And then x and 4x would go together to make 5x. So the perimeter is 9 plus 5x. We can't simplify any farther because we don't know what x is. For the area, we would do, not perimeter, area equals 1/2 times the base times the height. And we are going to use B for base here. So this is our base, and this is our height over here of 6. So we are going to do A equals 1/2 times x plus 1 times our height of 6. So I can multiply the 1/2 and the 6 together and get 3. and then I have that x plus 1 left. And then I have to distribute. So 3 times x would give us 3x, and 3 times 1 would be a positive 3. So our area would be 3x plus 3. They didn't tell us any units, so I'm just going to say units squared. Example 2 says the Texas Treasures quilt block includes 24 purple triangles. The base and the height of each triangle are about 3 inches. Find the approximate amount of fabric used to make the 24 triangles. So I have to find the area of one triangle, and it told us that the base and the height of each triangle are about 3. So we're going to do 1/2 times base times height. So 1/2 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Half of 9 would be 4.5. So the area of one triangle is 4.5, and we have 24 of those. So we have to multiply that by 24, and we get an answer of 108, and this was in inches, and area gets squared. And we're going to move on to circles. So a couple of vocab words here about circles. The first one is diameter. Diameter is a segment that passes through the center of a circle and whose endpoints are on the circle. So it's going to go all the way across the circle, but it's got to go through the center point. The radius is a segment whose endpoints are the center of the circle and a point on the circle. So the radius goes from the middle out to an edge somewhere. And it doesn't matter where, because if you go from the center out on a circle, you're going to go halfway no matter where you go on that circle. And then circumference and area. Circumference is the distance around the circle. So circumference is another word for perimeter when you're using for circle. We just don't use perimeter for circles. We use circumference. And there's 2 formulas. So if you're given the diameter, you would just simply take pi and multiply it by the diameter. Or if you're given the radius, you would multiply by 2, because 2 of the radiuses are the diameter. So 2 times pi times the radius. And depending on what you're given in the problem, depends on what formula you're going to use. Area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. And pi is the circumference divided by the diameter of a circle. On any circle, so if you took the circumference of the circle and divided it by the diameter, you are going to get a number that's super close to 3.14. It may not be exactly the 3.14, but it's going to be very close, because when you find the circumference, you're probably going to have to do some rounding. And that's what kind of gets your answer off of the 3.14 a little bit. All right, for example 3, find the circumference and area of this circle. So when I look at the picture, that line only goes halfway across, so that tells me it's the radius. So I'm going to, for the circumference, I'm going to go 2 times pi times the radius. So 2 times 3.14, and you're always going to use 3.14 for pi unless they tell you otherwise in the directions, and then times 3. So that would give you 6 times the 3.14, and when you multiply that out, you're going to get 18.8, and these are centimeters. And circumference is like perimeter, so it does not get an exponent. Area is pi times the radius squared. So we are going to do 3.14 times 3 squared, which would be 3.14 times 9. And when we do that, we're going to get about 28.3 centimeters, and area gets squared. Now, going back up to the last step here on both of those, if they asked you to give the answer in terms of pi, you would just simply leave the pi symbol in your answer. So for the circumference, I did the 2 times 3 and got the 6 right here. I would just write 6 and then the pi symbol. That's in terms of pi. That's the most exact answer that you can give. When we actually did the multiplication, we had to round. So if they ask for an exact answer, leave the pi symbol. Same thing over here on area. We did 3 squared and got the 9. So put the 9 down and then leave the pi as a pi symbol, and that would be in terms of pi. So the most exact answer for area that you can have.